Hey folks, if you want the real story from the front lines, make sure you follow S News to catch this video and everything we've got coming up. And, support us by subscribing, liking, and dropping a comment. It really helps us keep going. Ukraine just took out one of Russia's top military leaders. Early one morning, 6 HIMARS rockets tore through the sky over Kursk, breaking the silence. Their target? The mobile command post of Rear Admiral Gudkov, considered the mastermind of Russia's Black Sea Fleet. In a single moment, the Kremlin's illusion of a secure rear line turned to ashes. The July 2nd strike wiped Gudkov, the second highest-ranking officer in the Russian Navy, off the map. Alongside him, his close associate Nariman Shikal and around 20 other Russian officers and NCOs were also killed. This was Ukraine's most high-impact HIMARS strike yet, executed with precision and aimed at maximum damage. Over the past 9 months, Ukraine has confirmed the elimination of 9 Russian colonels, 2 lieutenant generals, 1 general, several Marine lieutenant colonels, 4 senior officers from mechanized units, and 2 brigade deputy commanders. In total, that's at least 12 generals and 8 other top officers taken out in just 9 months. So why was Gudkov such a key target? And what will his assassination mean for Russia's military command structure? Rear Admiral Gudkov, who worked at the Russian Black Sea Fleet headquarters, had just been awarded the Medal of Duty and the Order of Honor in April. By the end of March, President Vladimir Putin himself had appointed him deputy chief of the Russian Navy's general staff. Gudkov's main responsibility was to plan naval operations outside the port and inspect border area sites as part of an effort to modernize air defenses in Crimea. This constant movement and high-level involvement put him on Ukraine's high-value target list. Only 2 months after receiving his honors, he was hit by HIMARS during a ceremony at a temporary command post in the village of Koronavo, Kursk region, on the morning of July 2nd. The Russian Ministry of Defense confirmed Gudkov's death on Thursday, July 3rd. The governor of Primorsky Krai, Oleg Kozhemyako, officially announced that the heroic commander was killed in the line of duty, along with his close comrade Nariman Shikaliev. According to Russian journalists, the 6 guided GMLRS missiles punched straight through the tent roof, killing nearly all 20 officers and NCOs gathered inside. What stood out was that the missiles hit precisely during a command meeting. International media reported that the strike was likely enabled by a shortwave radio broadcast of the event, which gave away their exact location. This was Russia's biggest single-rank loss in the 3rd year of the war. Western intelligence had previously counted 11 Russian rear admirals killed since February 2022, but with Gudkov, the number rises to 12. Ukraine's general staff noted a gap forming in Russia's offensive plans targeting the Black Sea, as Gudkov had been the top officer personally managing naval strategy and overseeing the re-equipping of the 155th Marine Brigade. His death, specifically in Koronavo near Kursk, could put Russia's military corridor at risk once again. Ukrainian analysts found it unusual for a Navy officer to be in charge of operations in the Kursk sector. Now, it's unclear who will fill that role. Gudkov's death created a major disconnect between Russian logistics and battlefield tactics. He was the officer responsible for linking intelligence supply data between the northern sector and the Black Sea Fleet. The 6 GMLRS missiles didn't just destroy a command tent. They blew a hole in the very idea of a safe Kremlin rear. The destroyed briefing table marked a new turning point. Ukraine's entrance into an era of precision warfare. The front line is no longer just red lines on a map. It's now a hidden web of coordinates stretching into corridors once thought untouchable, where portraits of Moscow's generals hang. Gudkov's insignia, now gone with the flames, was a symbol of that shift. Ukraine has managed to carry out a series of precise, high-impact strikes on the logistical nerve center of the Russian military. Using Western-made smart munitions, they've demonstrated the principle of maximum effect from a single strike for the world to see. In other words, Ukraine, specifically Kyiv, has hit the top of Russia's military command structure. The overall impact of these losses can be summed up in 3 main points. Slower decision-making. Russian generals and admirals used to be on the ground, making split-second decisions during complex air and land operations. But with the growing risk of being targeted, top commanders are now forced to rely on remote video leadership, which narrows their window for dynamic targeting. Morale and motivation. Even Russian pro-war bloggers like Rybar called Admiral Gudkov's death the fatal result of showy frontline inspections by top officers. This kind of talk undermines the confidence of soldiers and junior officers on the front lines. Strategic deterrence Western precision weapons are becoming a major problem for Russia. When Moscow's air defenses can't even fully protect areas inside Russia, it blows apart the Kremlin's claim of having a secure rear. In May, Russia tried to compensate for these losses with leadership shakeups. General Oleg Salyukov was removed and replaced by 51-year-old Roman Berdnikov. But, this rapid promotion system is creating gaps in experience. New colonels promoted to top command roles are struggling with complex joint operations. There's also an ongoing crisis within Russia's counterintelligence service, the FSB. After the assassination of General Igor Korolev in December 2024, the head of military counterintelligence, General Nikolai Yuryev, resigned the next day after receiving a scathing letter from the Kremlin. Analysts saw this as a rare public admission of a major intelligence failure. In the eastern Donetsk region, a Storm Shadow missile strike destroyed the headquarters of Russia's 8th Combined Army on June 30th, killing Major General Ruslan Goryachkin, the de facto battlefield commander. The collapse of the HQ building also wiped out long-range communications equipment. Goryachkin had been in charge of artillery fire along the Avdiivka-Pokrovsk axis, so his death disrupted Russia's firing plans for days. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces ambushed and eliminated the deputy chief of staff of Russia's 69th Guards Motor Rifle Division near Zaporizhia in mid-May. The operation began with a nighttime infiltration and ended in a close-range firefight after a sniper stopped the convoy. The Russians had been using wave-style armored assaults, but the breakdown in leadership has slowed that strategy down. In another targeted strike, HIMARS missiles killed Lieutenant Colonel Roman Kozhukov, the deputy commander of the 155th Naval Infantry Brigade, during a memorial ceremony in Donetsk. 19 soldiers were killed and 12 wounded. As a result, the brigade is expected to be pulled back to reserve. Beyond the battlefield, cracks are forming in Moscow itself. Losses of senior officers like Gudkov and Korolev, combined with resignations in the FSB, have damaged the Kremlin's control and image of stability. A failed replacement of Yuryev has left a strategic gap in counterintelligence. Frontline Russian units are feeling the pressure. For example, in late May in central Donetsk, Ukrainian forces neutralized a Russian storm unit trying to jam drones with portable electronic warfare gear. Ukrainian troops outmaneuvered the Russian jammers and killed 8 soldiers in a 3-minute shootout. Footage showed Russian jammers being used without protection, even on the front lines. So in just 9 months, Ukraine has eliminated 9 colonels, 2 captains, several brigadier generals, 1 full general, 2 Marine lieutenant colonels, 4 staff officers from mechanized units, and, 2 brigade deputy commanders, all using HIMARS or Storm Shadow missiles. Since about the middle of 2023, Russia's lost a high-ranking general roughly every 5 months, and now that rate's picking up, with losses coming about every 3 months. These hits are really shaking up Russia's command chain in 3 big ways. First off, officers are leaving their command centers and shifting into these mobile tent setups closer to the front lines, which honestly just makes them more vulnerable to missile strikes. Second, there's a shortage of experienced staff, so temporary appointments have turned permanent, even though Russian senior sergeants just don't have the right skills for complex offensive planning. And third, the Kremlin's whole propaganda myth about having an invincible leadership, it's falling apart, especially in places like Kursk, which folks now see as a psychological breaking point. According to the Institute for the Study of War, Russia kicked off a 3-phase counteroffensive in March, aiming to push back Ukrainian incursions across the border. After the United States suspended intelligence sharing back in March, Russian advances sped up for a bit, but then, they stalled out again in April. Right now, the front is holding around the Seversk-Sudzha line. Russian forces are moving pretty slowly, using mine-launching vehicles and older tanks, but, they're running into some serious logistical strain. Artillery and ammo stockpiles near the front are thinning out. Plus, the railway between Kharkiv and Kursk has been sabotaged on a regular basis for 4 months, which is really slowing down supply deliveries. Ukraine, on the other hand, is ramping up its drone program with European support. The UK has pledged 100,000 tactical drones by April 2026, and Germany is investing €9 billion in drone tech. Ukraine's defense minister says they're nearing production capacity of 22,000 drones per day. This drone missile synergy has cut the planning time for high-level strikes from weeks to just days. Here's the big picture. Russia's Black Sea Fleet is largely docked. The Kursk corridor is under logistical stress, HQs are getting hit, and even Moscow has seen assassination bombings. With every general killed, their replacement tends to hide in the shadows, handing the psychological edge to Ukraine. The cumulative effect of the Koronavo strike, the HQ collapse in Donetsk, the Olenivka incident, and intelligence resignations has deeply eroded Russia's military command authority. Even though things are quieter along the Kursk-Sudzha line right now, command breakdowns are expected to show up on the battlefield within a week or two, even if Ukraine has to conserve artillery. Ukraine is maintaining the upper hand through focused precision strikes. If this trend continues, Russia's slow grind forward could be shaken every time a high-ranking officer is taken out. But can Russia reverse this? Maybe if Western aid dries up and Russian production unexpectedly surges? Russia still holds advantages, like a massive edge in gunpowder production, something it's specialized in for centuries. While NATO nations produce shells, they often lack the raw materials to fill them. Many NATO countries outsourced explosive manufacturing years ago. Russia didn't. Its dirty chemical production, nitroglycerin, TNT, and other critical components, is still going strong. In contrast, Europe has strict environmental rules, making it harder to produce these materials at scale. There are only a few working explosive plants left in Europe, and restarting them is slow and expensive. NATO's reliance on imported ingredients, often from China or Central Asia, creates a massive bottleneck. In short, while Ukraine has made impressive gains with limited resources, Russia's industrial capacity, especially in explosives, remains a major concern for NATO. If NATO can't ramp up production, it may struggle to maintain support for Ukraine at the current scale. Yet despite all this, Ukraine has pulled off something remarkable, taking out the deputy commander of the Black Sea Fleet, with limited gear, against an enemy with a vast intelligence network. Imagine what could happen if the West significantly increased its support, especially if Germany finally sent its Taurus missiles. That could change everything in Crimea. Bottom line, Ukraine is now hitting Russia from the inside. Finally, thanks for tuning in and listening. We really appreciate your support. Don't forget to follow S News and check out our future videos.